Welcome everyone, and welcome to the Illusion Horror and Con actual play with tonight, Call of Cthulhu. Get ready to embark on the spine-tingling adventure into the dark and twisted world of H.P. Lovecraft's Cthulhu mythos, with my wonderful players and I, who are to guide you through this actual play. To date, welcome to Little Creek, Episode 3, where sanity is tested and reality is warped. Scenario is written by me and now available on Drivethrurpg, and as we're streaming right now, you can get it off for 50%, just so you can get your own copy and check if I'm doing everything right of what I've wrote. I just want to say that this game involves mature themes and topics, as well as graphic descriptions, so content warnings were displayed in the preview as well as in the subtitles or description of the video. And as we journey through this wonderful eldritch horror and unravel the ancient mysteries of Little Creek, the hauntingly atmospheric music by Graham Plowman and the sounds of Rest for the Wicked YouTube channel will set the mood just right, I think. So get your things together, get your drinks ready, and let's explore further the little town in Hampshire County, Little Creek. And with that, the scenario begins again, and we focus the camera on the church on the small hill just north of the town square, as the festivities are in full bloom and joy, and singing emerges from the town square. The investigators are currently inside the church, massive stone building, and somehow not really what they anticipated. And as we see Charlotte just walking to the front door, mesmerized, the camera pans in to Jordan Baker.
Summer of 1920. Same lazy heat you'd expect in any city, but in Boston it brings out all the sticky, oozing, sizzling of the rotten, already disfigured populace, stale, warm air. Oppressive background creaking of expanding metal and vice. Fans are moaning like a landlady on the first of the month. No wonder I'd jump on a job to get me out of the city and into the countryside. Ronald Snipes, director of a census office, has an easy paycheck to offer, and while the sign on my door says Jordan Baker, PI, it might as well say whatever pays underneath. So when he needs a nanny for some of his agents, I'm on it, like a fat pigeon on a roadkill hamburger. Bureau has some accounting errors, and it's looking to waste some tax dollars by sending their high-paid suits out in a town called Little Creek. Numbers seem consistent in this place. Too consistent. 3, 2, 1, an odd number. Odd number to show up in the head count every single instant. Same number. Every time. Almost 100 years now, ever since the beginning of the count. Looks too clean and consistent with being genuine. Those books can't be right. Smells like cooking. And not the motherly kind. You'd expect an obvious error to be swept under the rug. Still, since every census officer who has ever worked on this has resigned under questionable circumstances, the director wants to clarify it. No one likes their employees disappearing, especially when their fake resignation letters smell fishier than Little Italy on market day. So this is how we find ourselves in a picturesque Massachusetts countryside, and it's been more of a journey than we expected. Good thing this group of two census agents and director's nephew aren't the chatty type, since we spend a lot more time in the car than expected. Little Creek isn't all that easy to find, not on the maps or postal routes, barely even connected through the roads. Almost coincidentally, we finally made it through woodland off-roads in a little farming village. People here don't seem keen on connecting with the outside world, having their groceries dropped off in the woods and shunning the nearby gas stations and hotels, as we soon found out. Yet, even when the approach to the town was dark and ominous, like a moth dying on a cheap light bulb, the town itself turned out to be quite quaint, if a bit old-fashioned. It's the kind of place where time seems to stand still, and if there weren't the irritating detail of our watches dying us within town limits, one could say the kind of place that might invite traveling census officer to maybe settle in the countryside. Mr. Randolph Dunbar, the elderly town council handshaker, had nothing but friendly greetings and helpful promises when we first met him. Put him in a better suit and he'd fit right into the Boston upper crust. And just like them, he was happy to waste our time and have us stay a night and spend our money in a regional economy. So, just another short ride later, we found ourselves in a historic inn hotel. Barely 20 minutes from Little Creek, but as unconnected as an embarrassed cousin of a butcher shop family business. Hotel is run by Mrs. Margaret Booth, a charmingly motherly lady with a good hand in the kitchen and a less pleasant habit of distancing herself from any knowledge about Little Creek. It's like people here don't want to know about what goes on in the little farming community, and they don't care to explain why to big city strangers. Hotel was also where Mr. Bingham, the latest census officer to go missing, had stayed for a surprisingly long week in January. My guess might have something to do with the hotel maids, Middleton girls. The kind of surface personnel that can make a guy whistle like a pressure pipe with a bullet hole, and to make life on the road seem not so bad as a life choice. However, hotel is also where Mr. Levi O'Nolan discovered something about the area. Now, Levi is the kind of guy they put in a picture book to explain bureaucracy to children. I have known him for 2 days, and I'm surprised already how a man can get to a government agent position without even an ounce of people skill. He's the kind of dusty, four-eyed accountant you'd expect to talk to himself if there wasn't a real risk that he'd bore himself to death with the conversation. But I give him that. His eyes for detail weren't bad here. Just going through some old newspapers, he connected the dots on a gruesome pattern of children going missing regularly. Not the kind of thing they put in a travel catalogue, that in the last 30 years a good dozen or more children have disappeared from all surrounding cities. And while Levi seems all too happy to jump to conclusions about how Little Creek keeps its population so stable, one cannot help but wonder what's happening here in the idyllic countryside. Now, before we go around asking the kind of questions we came for, Little Creek had a surprise for us, but this time the type of surprise you'd expect to see advertised. It just so happened the next day was annual town festival. Little Creek seems the kind of community that values its traditions. A small backcountry town cut off from the world in good taste, probably founded by someone who felt religiously persecuted for their continental heritage. You can imagine the kind of old world traditions they celebrate here, like those little dolls they put in front of every house here, creepy little things. Or the big memorial plate for the village founder, Curtis Merriweather, from the early 1700s that they display like a giant gravestone in the middle of their market. But what they lack in modern fashion sense and healthy cultural mixing, they make up for in friendliness. Not a minute passed when they invited us to join their festivities and drag us in like a crab hauler with a debt to pay off. Even though we came loaded with suspicions, like a fat lady's garter belt stretched and ready to offend, it's hard to stay cynical when met with this much cheer from a community who don't have the good sense to be mistrustful of strangers. Morning festivities took an exciting turn when Father McBride announced a lottery, drawing 4 names from a box, lucky winners who can feel special for a hollow moment in a world full of less fortunate. But when Dunbar and McBride puzzled it together for us that these 4 are now considered the blessed representatives of the community, things started to feel a lot less Christian and a lot more traditional. Picking 4 group members like this is part of annual praise of the Little Creek's bloom. The Little Creekers have a strong sense of neighborhood and communal spirit, probably founded somewhere in their curious and elusive town history. Levi here finally got a good look at the town's records, and here's where his sense of numbers let him down. It took Charlotte Rose's charming nose to see behind their apparent deception. Of the 2 agents, the younger Charlotte has her head the right way around on her shoulders. A fine, fashionable gal who knows her way around town and tightly around the rules, who doesn't seem to mind an adult beverage occasionally. Clearly, the one who should do the talking, and, in this case, the sleuthing. It took her no time to see what Levi had missed for an hour, that those records were more fake than her designer shoes. Not only did someone take a pen to the thing to have numbers make sense, but there were also surprise inhabitants showing up, coinciding with the missing children from elsewhere. Once again, we had bitten on that old nugget of wisdom: everyone has something to hide. It was about time to find out what rotten bodies had been buried under the cheerful sun-bleached paint coat of Little Creek. It was time to lean on the pillars of the community until one of them cracked and brought the creaking roof down with it. So we decided to visit Father McBride. With the old church looming over the town, it wasn't too hard to guess where to look. But here's where the whole old ways charm took a new dimension. In front of the church, we were greeted by a burnt-down tree, freshly charred like campfire night gone wrong. And while a blackened, splinter-flaking reminder of a world doomed to succumb to the flames of its degeneracy isn't exactly what we expected on holy grounds, it had an unexpectedly revelatory effect on our young friend Aiden. Aiden Hamilton had been sent with us as a life lesson from his uncle, the director. Being still a kid with too much privilege, a haircut that costs more than my overdue rent, and hands that are too soft for a harsh word, Aiden struggles the most with being away from home. Since we arrived, the boy has been increasingly a bundle of nerves higher strung than a telephone wire, while the unease of the creeping, secretive agony of the little creek has left none of us untouched. I worry most about the milk-skilled Aiden and his expensive family suits. Not only did he have some panic attack in the car already, where he mumbled about visions of a ghostly ancient pact and monstrosities reaching out for the town, but now he's also seeing some connection between this symbolic tree and some painting he saw earlier in the school hall. Something about a vision of a blood-stained ritual he had when touching it, which included the burning hanging tree he now claims to recognize as the one at the church. Well, he'd be better off spending his family fortune for a good shrink. Could also help him stop smoking. Father Duncan McBride revealed himself as another bastion of indecipherable, obliging insight. Priest is full of the unshakable conviction of his creed, preaching about the value of community. Not a sign of doubt about the shape his flock here has taken, and I have to give it to the man. He doesn't even flinch when explaining why all of his church's depiction of Christ show the Lord accompanied by a mysterious mustached man. Pretty sure I would have heard about it in Sunday school if the King of Kings had been best buddies with Curtis Merriweather, Little Creek's father. But then again, they call their faith here the Tenebrous Divine, and Merriweather their savior, so they went to a different school than us anyway. One that values and worships the unknowable. Father's sermon about embracing the uncertain would hold more water if he weren't so damn good at reading people with an almost uncanny ability to see through us like a fatherly pervert peering right through our dirty windows. His prodding about her family seemed even enough to shake up the otherwise so unflappable Miss Rose. For a while, our questions to the priest become increasingly poignant, and in the meantime, she has wandered off to follow her vision.
Thank you, wonderful. As you, Charlotte, as you see these visions transpire, you see your father being pulled and dragged to the tree and hung. You've now reached the front door, and what is your first impression? What is your first sense as you see this happening?
My first instinct would be, I don't know why, but I just want to run there.
Okay. Well, let's see. And if you run, if you cower, or if you just flee in terror, when you make your sanity roll. Okay. 1 point of sanity, no matter what, as this is indeed a truly horrifying vision that you experience. And you start running. You start running towards it. You say something, you call out, you do something.
I don't think I would call out at the moment. I would just run straight towards them, and once I get close enough, I would just shout, "Stop! What in the names are you guys doing?"
As you do that, we focus back into the church, where after a while, you would have heard Charlotte's pace increasing a bit. At some point, maybe just the front door falling shut into the hinges. Father McBride, who's standing in front of Jordan and Levi, is kind of a bit confused. Is everything all right with your friend? She seemed a bit upset there.
I would like to give Levi like a look and a nod, as in like, go, you go check for your colleague.
Yeah. Levi will probably give McBride as sort of quizzical a look as possible, and about face, and just walk in the direction of Miss Rose.
Okay, so back to the front door. Aiden, what about you?
Aiden would have been rather quiet the last minutes as the father was approaching every one of the group but him. After the situation shifts with Charlotte leaving the group, Aiden would approach the father and ask, Father, I was wondering, could you tell me more? I'm not that aware of the religion you have here and its aspects. Could you tell me if these dolls we saw throughout the city are related in any sense?
He just looks at you with kind of this little smirk smile. Actually, I have him. As he kind of looks at you, he wipes his forehead a bit, as it's cool, but you know it's still warm under priest robes. And he says, "Oh, well, of course, I'll be happy to tell you more if you're interested. I mean, faith is always a good support for anyone, and should be seen as nothing that one should just skim over, isn't that so? Mr. Baker, was it? Would you care to join us and maybe have a talk in my studies?"
Actually, there would be a moment where Jordan like looks over to Aiden, like almost in a like questioning, quizzical look, as if asking for permission.
Aiden would signal you without words that he would appreciate your presence.
Okay.
And then, like taps his hat that he hasn't even taken off in church.
Yeah, Father McBride turns around. Please, do you follow me? And he leads you kind of towards the altar, turns then left, back into the study where you suppose he was before you entered. In the meantime, Levi, you come to the front door. You hear conversation emerging in the back as the others start talking again. And you open the door to see Charlotte rushing down that little hill towards that charred area opposite the church. And she's maybe 10 feet away when she screams, "Stop!" And there's nothing there.
Levi will break into a run.
And like a physical run, like truly running.
Yeah, I mean he's surprisingly dexterous.
Great.
Is Levi?
You start running after her. As you do so, give me a spot hidden check.
Oh, yep.
Okay, so with a success, you have a bit of overview what's in front of you. There's a kind of path leading down to the front gates. You can see rose bushes and the green grass around you, blooming nicely. And the only kind of thing that distorts the beautiful view here is that burned and charred and crackling piece of tree, or that burnt tree over there on the other side. Its circle is about, I guess, like 3 yards in diameter, 3 to 4 yards, which is completely charred. The ground, as if there's, a big fire coming from that tree recently, and it just charred the ground and the soil underneath it. But as you kind of look around this, you can see that there are houses behind it, and just behind the tree, a couple of houses back, looking around the corner, is a elderly woman. She has her hair kind of put together, and she seems to kind of just peek out the corner, and she looks at, well, you would guess the best. She was looking at Charlotte, and she seems to mumble something. You can see clearly that her lips are moving and that she's mumbling something. And so you run behind her. Charlotte, you arrive at the tree. You stop this. You see the vision in front of you kind of starting to vibrate, like it's difficult for you to focus your line of sight or your vision at all, and it's just shaking everything. Their bodies, their figures, everything is shaking. And your mother just turns to you, and her head just starts tilting.
I'm trying to grasp for anything because I feel like I'm fainting or something. And I'm just like, what are you doing? What is this? What is happening? Mom.
You stagger backwards, and I think by this time our surprisingly dexterous Levi has just arrived behind you, so that you stagger kind of back a couple of feet, and you feel kind of somebody kind of grabbing you from behind just before you kind of fall to the ground.
I will turn around and just be very on the defensive who this is.
Yeah, it's Levi. You caught her.
Miss Rose, are you?
Nolan?
Yes. Are you quite all right?
I look over my shoulder.
There's nothing there but the
towards
burnt tree.
I saw my parents. My mother was. I don't know. I need to sit down. I'm sorry.
Yes, that's perfectly understandable. What? One minute you were in the church, and the next minute you were striding out here. What set you off? If that's the right term.
It's probably what the son of a bitch of a priest said. How did he know all these things about us? He knew more about my father than I did. I don't know what's going on. This is all very strange.
No.
I feel very out of place. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't know what's happening.
Don't.
This is completely out of. I'm so sorry.
No. Don't apologize for anything. It's he's weird. This place is weird. Everybody's weird. It's perfectly understandable reaction. And Levi is sort of he starts looking around, largely because he's not quite good with emotional situations. So
Really? Surprising.
Yeah. So he starts. He looks over to where that elderly woman was.
Yeah.
Is she still around?
Well, you see two things. As you briefly kind of look around you like, oh, I need somebody who can actually take care of this. You can see that from the town square or from surrounding buildings, a couple of people, you caught their attention when Charlotte started to scream, stop. And they turned around, and now seeing that she collapsed, they are kind of approaching you, not running, but like they're walking towards you, and they look concerned, and you can hear them from the distance, like, everything all right? Are you okay? And you look over to where the woman is, and you don't know. Give me an intelligence roll, Levi. That's a hard success. As you look over to that woman, and you had the feeling that for 1 second she was about to come out. And the moment you also heard the voices of the townspeople, like, is everything all right? She kind of, her eyes opened, and she turned around and disappeared between the buildings. Now, shortly, literally a couple seconds later, you can already hear the townspeople approaching you. Oh, my dear, Miss, are you okay? Oh, it must be the heat. Did you drink anything today?
Fine. No, I'm fine.
I
It's
say,
okay.
could you please get us some cold water, please?
Oh,
And
well,
a warm flannel.
we
Cold water, a warm flannel, and maybe some milk. That would be great.
well, if you think, but
Go on, please.
we can just
Make haste.
We can call the doctor. We can call the doctor to.
No,
to have a look
no
on-
doctor required.
Call
Please,
the doctor.
just
Call the doctor.
no.
And
He's
you know
gone.
it continues like, call the doctor. Call the doctor.
Oh dear God.
And
Oh no.
he's like, yes, you call some get some cold towels and some water, please. Hurry. And you know.
No, warm flannels, cold water.
Oh yes. and they're a bit kind of like, yes, of course, we'll do so.
Go on, toodle off.
Well,
Go on.
most of them leave.
I'm
But, like,
trying to get rid of them.
Most of them leave, but two of them are around, and they kind of like immediately try to carefully tend to Charlotte. You know, like, are you okay? Did you hurt
I'm
yourself?
I'm fine.
No,
I'm okay. I'm okay. Thank you.
I'm. Please keep a respectful distance and give her some air.
Of course. Should we bring her to a bench? And they just point to like a bench next to a house or something close by. It's in the shade, so you know. You don't have to. I'm just.
Yeah, I can walk. No, I can walk. That might be a good idea. Let's go over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're still kind of like hovering around, like any tea or maybe some black tea, peppermint tea. It's good for the heat. And
You know, you could do me an extreme favor if you would just fuck off. Thank you.
Oh my! And they make the sign of the cross, and they kind of just look at each other, befuddled. Both of you can roll for listen. we have a success from Levi and a hard success from Charlotte. Levi, you hear them, the two townspeople, kind of talking to each other. They're mumbling something. You do hear doctor or something. But Charlotte, you hear them saying like, "Oh, it must be the fever too. First the Barlow, and now the visitors. What if it comes here to the town? Oh, no. We need to get the doctors. Quick. Run, get the doctor. As soon as you can." And the other one's like, I'll get some cold water. And he runs off. You can see that from the town square, there's not only one or two. There are a couple of groups that are bringing like buckets now of water and flask and bread and some food, some vegetables. And as we leave you there for the moment, as you kind of take that briefly in, we go to the church back, and Aiden and Jordan, Father McBride escorts you kind of past the altar down into the little kind of study. It's sparsely furnished, and you would say it's a studio apartment. There's a single bed that it's on one side in the back. You see a wooden kind of stove oven, some wash cabinet, and some desks to write on, a couple of bookshelves filled with leather-bound journals and Bibles and ledgers and whatnot. There's also a large portrait of this goateed man in the back on the wall. And as you kind of enter, I think it's only fair if you both can roll for spot hidden here.
Extreme.
With an extreme success, you take the scene in briefly. He must be living here. He lives very sparse, very rudimentary, you would say. But yet there is organization, there's cleanliness, everything is meticulous. You can see that, the books on or the papers on his desk nicely aligned. You would say similar to Ronald Snipes that you saw just a couple of days earlier. And you also see the large black chest in one of the shelves on the bottom drawer. You can see its heavy padlock up front. And as you kind of look around, you see that just in one corner where it looks like that personal journals or something, there are also a couple of ledgers. And the binding and maybe the design look very similar to the ones that you saw as the town ledgers earlier today. Similar, but not exactly, but at least size, dimension, binding, and everything would fit for the same kind of type of paper used. Maybe even the same type of book, but written differently. And Father McBride notions the two of you to sit down. He pulls up a little kind of folding chair, and there's one good chair, but like one folding chair, and he sits down on this like ear chair behind his desk and says, "Now, how can I help you?"
I have one quick question.
Yeah.
For the portrait of what we assume to be Curtis Merriweather,
Yeah.
does it have like a date on it?
No date. But given that you had an extreme success, it is raised slightly from the wall, and you can see that the frame is quite heavy and thick. And I think based on your expertise and your forte, you might have your own ideas about what it might be behind that portrait.
The wine cabinet.
And so what is it that I can help you with? My young child, you seem lost. Your mind is all over the place, it looks like. You see your friend disappearing, yet you seek refuge from a priest.
I was merely interested, and I suppose the agents are well suited to care for themselves, so I'm not worried for them.
Good. You shouldn't be. No harm will befall upon them.
That's what I thought. Is there any particular rite you use these dolls for? Or is it like a
The dolls.
charm? What can I...
Oh, it's merely it's a little charm, I would say. It helps us kind of get to know that everyone is fine, everyone is healthy. You see, there was this pandemic, this epidemic spreading. 2 years was it now? Spanish flu, they called it. I heard. We just thought it would be a bit of a precaution if we had some idea of indicating if maybe a member of the family might be dead, not dead, but injured or infected. And it turned out to be a very useful method. And you can easily check if somebody's at home, if the dolls are up. If they're not up, then they're on the fields, and you don't have to knock at their doors. It's a very simple mechanic, I think, that allows us just to be more forthright and also accept people's privacy more clearly. If you don't want to be disturbed, you just put the dolls down, and well, nobody's coming knocking at your door.
That's quite clever. Interesting.
Not the worst system.
Yes. Also, it appears my education has some blind spots, as I'm not as aware as I get a feeling I should be about your religion in general, or the specifics that make it different from other used religions. Would you be so kind to tell us more?
See, that's always the issue with religion, isn't it? That they are different. They're secluded. You need to adhere to one, and you cannot accept another. We don't find that very helpful, especially in a small town. We've grown up to be farmers, to come from all over the place when this country was established, and we didn't want to exclude anyone just because of one belief. And as I've was born here, I've grown up here, I've learned the ideas of the church and the preachings from the father before, who learned it from the father before him. It just is a natural adaptation of inclusion rather than exclusion. You see, the big cities are already an indication of divide. Poor and rich, academics and workers. But here we are all the same. We can work together, we can live together. We help each other no matter what. We have no restriction, we have no sight of it. And that's, I think, where our religion has just been a naturally developing idea of a community that we like to accept, that we like to use. Does that make sense to you, my child?
I would say partly. I wouldn't say the big city isn't a good example for inclusion. You have greater diversity there, naturally, but it's not that different in every aspect. But I would say, at least.
Yes, but see,
Also,
you wear a family crest on your shirt. You have good teeth. You have a strong build. You look well nourished. Now, would that be true for a man who comes on the boat, who lost his life in the old country? Would he have the same opportunities, the same mechanism of integration in the big city as you did?
we would certainly have different ways, but nothing is keeping him from achieving the same.
Yes. He kind of just leans back a bit and chuckles a bit about that phrase. Well, I do apologize. It shouldn't have come across as a joke or as I'm laughing about this. It's mere the mindset that I've come to realize of people who are not open to the full extent of their soul and not accepting the Lord in its full power and almightiness as it is.
I would say living your life one way doesn't mean you're not open to other ways.
But let me ask you this. Are you happy with the life that you lead in the city? Are you content? Do you enjoy what you do? Or are you seeking ways of fulfilling that joy, that thing that is missing in your life? And like he leans a bit forward and it becomes like this intense stare of like, really trying to read you and read any micro expression here.
Partly to bring a bit of distance between them and partly to widen the pause. Aiden is leaning back in his chair, crossing his legs and his arms, and looking through the room, thinking for a moment about what he's answering. Also looking to Jordan if he to get a glimpse of what he's thinking, maybe. Before he would answer, I think both is true.
So you are happy with your life as it is?
At some days and some parts, and then there are days where I want more, have feeling there's more to achieve, goals to accomplish.
He kind of looks over to Jordan. What about you, sir?
Jordan, like when the discussion began, had been like meticulously kind of like looking through the chairs, trying to take in details. But like when it all intensified a bit, he kind of like covered himself a bit in a corner and kind of seems a bit restless on his feet right now. And something seems to like strike a bit of a nerve here with him. And so like when asked, he starts to mumble something. It sounds a bit like communism to me. I don't know about that.
Communism? Yes, we are a commune, and we work together to achieve the common goals. I don't see how this is wrong.
It's all very lofty goals and everything, but then when you were hit by the Spanish flu, that didn't help you at all, right?
Oh no, we prayed and we were lucky that not much not any one of us was infected. And I would say, and I praise the Lord for it, and he gives a short prayer, that we are protected by his gratuity and his kinship to us as we try to follow his words and his and act in his image as best as we can.
Well, there's nothing wrong with trying to be good people. I guess can't and won't criticize you for that.
I understand.
You've kind of got to admit, from the outside, it probably looks all a bit odd here. What with your worship for your town's founder, like pointing to the painting behind him.
Oh, you see, it's he doesn't even look back. He just looks at you, and he relaxes. Actually, he's, his body language seems to indicate that he's relaxing, and he's like, you see, it's more like a modern day interpretation of the Bible that we were, well, fortunate enough to witness and to experience. And I have to say, we find it more comforting for our members to relate better to the actual circumstances of their generation, not what happened 1,900 years ago or 1,700 years ago. It is more relatable. And let's be honest here. Doesn't every religion lie just a tiny bit about what actually happens?
That's an unconventional amount of honesty.
Without honesty, where would we be? We need honesty in order to survive. We need honesty to live. If I cannot trust my next door neighbor, then why should I live in fear? What society do I want to live in if I don't trust my wife or my brother? Honesty is the foundation of every good society.
Well, as someone who makes a living off of the dishonesty of others, I can tell you, you might be onto something there, even though you're probably not getting rich off that.
He literally chuckles, and he reaches down into the cupboard and pulls out a bottle of, you would say, clear schnapps. Pulls out a couple of glasses, looks at Aiden. Might I interest you in a bit of a spirit of the heart, we call it.
Eden would have a short look on his watch for a time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's...
Do I watch his work?
No, it's still, what was it, 8:45?
So it stopped at 8:45?
Yeah, whenever you... 15 minutes before you entered the town. It was...
So 6:45.
6:45, yeah.
We
Okay,
were at 7, I guess.
Yeah, 6:45. It stopped at 6:45.
I will not react on that, but note it in my head and think about what time would we have now? Around. Not sure. Is it the middle of the day?
What is your guess? What do you think?
I think it's an early afternoon or something like that was the last time I had in mind, so I would say yes, thank you.
Yeah. And as the father is pouring the glasses, we go back to Levi and Charlotte. you see the groups kind of approaching you. The one townsfolk that is next to you sees a woman kind of trying to carry like too many things, and he kind of looks at, oh no, wait, I'll help you, and he rushes over to her. So you have a brief moment where the two of you are by yourself, but literally just a brief moment.
Levi just looks at Charlotte and just goes, skip out?
I just nod.
Right. So, yeah, just head off in the direction that the little old woman ducked into.
Oh, okay.
She probably...
Yeah, so imagine you're sitting on a bench, right, like this. To your left, you see the townspeople and the town square approaching. In front of you, like just a bit to the right, you see the burned tree. So you know that you need to go around the house, kind of just over there, away from the people approaching you, but that would mean that you cross the street and everybody sees you walking away if you want to follow that woman. Nothing impossible, it's just that is where you are sitting.
Could we then turn right, double back down a alleyway, and then skip behind some houses, and then back out again?
If you turn right, the next thing, or you're the last house kind of before the church begins. And so yeah, that's kind of like a large square. Well, actually, since you've been exploring a bit, let me see if I find it. Maybe. Let me double check. Right back. So yes, okay, it is. Okay, so you get roughly now the idea of the town. You have an idea where things are, and I hope I did. No, wait a second. There you go. Now you should be able to kind of zoom in and have an idea of where you are. You are just on the last house here, on that corner before the church begins. So there's not really a lot in front of the church. There's just an open square. You see the cluster of houses across the street, and somewhere there she disappeared too. So do you want to risk crossing the street to follow that lady?
What do you think?
I think I'm thinking right now. I just want to get away from these people, honestly. I don't know why you want to go in this direction specifically, but if it takes me away from these folks, I'm fine with it.
Right, sorry, I completely mucked up where we were. So, hold on. So we're right next to 1, is it? Or, oh, we're there. Right. I think we better... Yeah, we'll just go head towards the little old lady's location. We'll just shout that we're fine. Just going to walk it off.
Okay. So you get up and you start to disappear between the houses. They are kind of a mess, a clutter of buildings, yet organized. You can see a couple of what are they called? Farm stalls? Farmhouses? Barns. That's the word for it. Thank you.
Barns.
Barns. And you kind of move through the back of it. It's nice and cool because it's kind of shaded here. You can do a track or spot hidden check here to see if you can maybe pick up on the footsteps of that woman that you saw.
Ooh.
And again, he surprises me with a extreme success. And
Man of many talents,
Levi, you follow kind of roughly the direction where you think. You even poke around the one of the buildings to get the same vantage point. And yes, that's when you see these footsteps, and they're leading kind of off to the west of the town, west-south, and they're just approaching kind of straight ahead. Let me just double check that it's right. Number 13 on the map. A small little cottage in the line of sight of the burned tree, and you can see footsteps reaching towards it. Behind you on the main street, you hear... Yeah, go ahead.
Who are we following? Where are we going? Did you?
I saw a little old lady who was twitching her curtains. She looked as though she was very worried for you, which suggested to me that she might actually know what... I don't know. It's a hunch.
Okay, sure.
And you approach the little cottage. Behind you, on the main street, as well as in between the houses, you hear people like, "No, where did you go? We got the water. Some lemon too, some cake too, and you should get some fruit. We got some fruit to raise your sugar. You shouldn't be running in this. Where are you? Please, let us help you. We called the doctor. He should be here any minute."
Just keep
Miss
going.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I wouldn't mind knocking on this door. We'll just try and be sneaky about it.
Let's give it a try then. Roll for stealth, or wait, that's the right system that I'm playing tonight. There's a stealth skill.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Good. Then I'm in the right system.
I'm not good at it, but...
Wow, not good at it. Okay, that's fine too.
Yeah.
You knock at the door, and it takes a moment, and you hear like a graspy voice. "Who's there?"
Mom, we're visitors to the village.
You hear
You
hear a chair falling to the floor, a tin cup as well, cluttering inside. She's rushing to the front door. She opens it up. She looks at you. She looks at both of you, kind of grabs you by the collar and pulls you inside and shuts the door. Unless you resist, shuts the door behind you.
Nope.
Okay, so she pulls you into the hut, into this nice cottage, and the door goes shut. As you can see, just a couple of seconds later, a couple of people like running past the front door, or hear them outside. "Where are you? We just got you some lemonade. Some lemonade. Hello, Mr. O'Nolan. Mrs. Rose? And the woman looks at you and just motions. She points her finger and points to kind of a corner in the back. You can see that's where her bed is. And she moves towards it and she kind of clears it up a bit for you to sit down, and she pulls like a little wooden chair to the side of it. There's a small kind of wood-fired stove, but obviously it's not on. There's a huge pile of firewood that's on there as well. The interior, the walls and the ceiling are covered with like yarns of dried herbs. And now it hits you, like the moment you're inside, the adrenaline kind of rushes down. It is a it's a mix of smells, and they're pungent and they hit you all immediately. It's sage, it's myrrh, it's all kinds of like roots and dried herbs. You see glass jars with oddly colored liquid. Some of them are bubbling and fermenting with something inside on a small kind of rack on the wall. And she just notions to the back.
Okay. And Levi's just...
So.
Okay. And you sit down as she kind of looks around once more. Pulls the chair closer and looks at you. I've been expecting you. And that's when we switch to the other two. In the study, Father McBride has just poured some of the schnapps. Quite a strong, let's make it cherry water schnapps. Quite flavorful and invigorating. And he cheers, and as you put down the empty glass, he kind of just lifts the bottle, indicating if you want another.
Jordan happily holds his glass back.
He starts pouring again.
Aiden would have a little trouble with the hard alcohol, so he would decline a second, and yeah.
Something
We had a hearty breakfast. This is easily diluting.
Yeah, 15 sausages, and then that's before you came to the little creek, and so he.
Well, you guys don't have to drive today.
So he starts pouring another and taking another shot, and he leans back. Refreshing, isn't it? Well, is there anything else I can help you with, my dear children?
Certainly. After you were so kind to help my personal curiosity, there's also work to do, so in the absence of my colleagues, I would have a few questions regarding the census data.
The census.
That's all right with you?
Wasn't that already? Oh, yes. Randolph told me. There was some issue with it, or what is it?
Yes, exactly. We were stumbling upon a quite unexpected fact that since we are having census data for this town, there's always the same number appearing, 321 citizens for this town, and we were wondering if there is any reason or if you're even aware of that.
321. I mean, it might be. Are you asking me about the number specifically, or if there's anything? I mean, yes, we have a town of roughly 300 people here, give or take a few over the years. I have to admit, but I couldn't verify for every year exactly the people. Mr. Dunbar, I think, has some records that he wanted to show you earlier today.
I believe he did. My colleagues were
So
overseeing that part.
Oh, then you have all the information. I don't know what I can help you with.
We were just curious if you are aware of that for one part, and if you have any knowledge of, let's say, measures taken to achieve that number in I don't know, like moving restrictions or something. So Aiden would not want to apply anything out of the ordinary here. Be very
Jordan's already like
aware of
raising an
that
eyebrow.
for
Careful.
when I'm not able to. Yeah.
He
Just to make that clear,
Mhm.
and also he would be since he asked, he would be very aware of the reaction of the father if he really is not aware of it, and yeah, want to check on that.
Contrary to
So,
my
psychology.
keeper reaction, which was just out of the moment, but he leans back and his eyes are a bit more puzzled, and he kind of I don't think I quite follow. No measures are taken. I mean, God knows. What do you think? What is happening here, my dear child? We are a small farming community, and well, we have certain amount of families and population, and people die, people are born, and well, it's in the nature of things, and overall, I mean, not much changes here. If you want, you can. Oh, if that gets you, then you can roll for psychology.
I would like to, and also would follow up on his answer. Please don't misunderstand me. I'm not talking about something out of the ordinary, but you were telling about a plague 2 years ago, and maybe there was a quarantine or something influencing the numbers we have, and events like this, so we are interested in that, if there was something explaining why we have all the same number over the years, which was intriguing somebody in the bureau, I guess.
He looks at you, and his face kind of softens, and he smiles a bit and looks at you. I guess there must be just some minor clerical error then. I mean, isn't the census only taken every 10 years or so? I mean, 10 years are a long period of time, and 2 years ago, we were fortunate enough again to have not been affected by whatever swept across the country. Now it's not unheard of that, that we had minor incidences or something in the past, but I think there's nothing that we have done or we've looked out for precisely to do such a thing. No. I think you're looking at the wrong horse here. It might be maybe your agents that seem to be a bit more inconsistent in their data writing. I mean, a small town like this, how often do you think they really want to go and count people and not just see the town sign and say goodbye? And now, I do have to admit, we don't update the town sign every year. We've been a bit lagging on that one. And he seems very sincere and honest to you.
Well, speaking of the other agent, sorry. Are we the first ones to find a way here to ask you about this?
Oh, well, not the first ones, I would say, but certainly we had visitors here. I've talked to a Mr. Fartham? Bingham, yes, Bingham. Yes, only a couple of months ago. Pleasant fellow. Said he had
roughly the same questions.
Not really. He was intrigued and about our community and what it is. He chuckles and leans back a bit, puts his hands to his side. And then you actually do remind me a bit of him. Yes. No, I told him similar things. He was quite curious, but then it was, I think, on the evening that he said that he had some problem with his family or something and had to go on. I wasn't quite sure what the issue was, but he seemed very on edge, I would say. I tried to calm him down and offered a place for him to stay, but he said no. The inn was nice for him, and he liked it there, and he had to go on the next day. And well, maybe I've talked with him about one or two things in confession, and maybe I've did highlight a couple of things in his life that might have not been as you wanted them to be.
So you only stayed for a day, as far as you know?
A day or two. It's been now a couple of months, and I have to say it's been quite busy here in town now. He's about to say name, and he's like, we had somebody who had some thoughts about somebody else who, and describes like the idea of an affair coming up, and he's like, anyway, I had to deal with quite a number of incidences of thoughts and ideas, and and at that moment, you hear footsteps coming down the church, the interior of the main church. You don't need to roll for listen because it's kind of loud and echoes. And you hear them approaching the door, and the father already stopped mid-sentence. And he just starts pouring you another glass, Jordan, and probably just a minor. The door opens up, and a young townsfolk NPC character, unimportant NPC character 321, 321 says, yes, my child, I'll be right with you. Now, if there's anything else, I think I have to attend some quite urgent matter here. Young Timmins here is a bit eager, and I hope you understand if I need a private word with him.
Of course.
See ourselves out.
He, drinks the last schnapps with you, and then you get outside. Timmins gets in, closes the door, and what do you guys do?
One question: the room that we were in, did that have only the one door,
Mm-hmm.
or would that have led somewhere else as well? Okay.
Nope. One door through the church.
Yep. Okay.
And we're left alone in the father's office.
No, in the main church. You're left in the main church. He kicked you out of his study.
I've been complimented.
All right. Yeah.
So yeah, rubbing his scruffy chin, like Jordan would like slowly wander to the like pictures on the wall, have it like more pensive look like at what's depicted there, and then kind of like as if in thoughts starts like talking to Aiden. So what do we make of this?
Yeah. Certainly he seemed very honest, so doesn't know anything that would help us further, I guess. While we're talking, after Jordan looked at pictures on the wall, Aiden would walk up to the cross behind the altar to have a closer look while they're talking. So just wandering through the hall, I guess.
Yeah.
We're having our conversation about the priest shouting through the through the corridor.
You can if you want to. It's up to you.
I don't think so.
I wouldn't.
I think, yeah, I think when you wander away, John would actually follow you. That's kind of like as he's been doing.
The cross behind the altar, the only thing that seems a bit odd is that it looks like there was once a Jesus figure, but years and years ago, because like the way that, you know, there's remnants and differences in the wood, and must have been removed years and years ago. And yeah, the only other thing is that the wood for the cross seems to be quite old, quite withered, quite charred.
Interesting.
All right. Yeah, I would continue the conversation with, I guess if anything is going on here, which nobody wants to talk about, saying it really, really with a low voice, so just between the two of us. So the religious party doesn't seem to be involved there, at least not the father, or did you get a different impression on him?
It doesn't seem to have anything to do with the oddly consistent numbers here. Doesn't mean that he's like that he's not like that he's all squeaky clean. I didn't get around to asking him about his like his blessed ones out there. I actually wanted to ask him if he has like a record of the ones from last year. Well, actually, you asked me to ask him if I remember correctly, but it didn't get around to that. But
to be honest, I'm still not quite clear on the part of what happens afterwards to these blessed ones.
I was wondering.
I mean, it seems to be something good, as everyone is, for the most part, eager to get that title, except for one or two curious members of this society. Thinking about the was it Mr. Dunbar?
Yeah, he said that he excludes himself from the election in order to give the people of the town a higher chance. And it's more like a offering of his, not an offering, sacrifice of his type of thing.
Now, since we couldn't find anyone, like any of the past blessed ones, I had wondered if he had like some kind of, well, record or ledger like containing these kind of like maybe the names or the names that he had like drawn the last years or anything like that.
You did see
Now-
quite a number of ledgers on the walls.
Mm-hmm.
So
Now call
doesn't
it a
mean
hand.
now, but yeah.
But maybe it would be an interesting and enlightening idea to have a look around in his bookshelf there inside when he isn't trying to feed us the farming produce.
That would be quite wonderful, but I'm not sure how you're planning to achieve that.
Hamilton, I just had 4 glasses of schnapps. It is not exactly a planning kind of mindset.
And we will follow up on that later. Maybe we should have a look for O'Nolan and Mrs. Rose,
Let's have a
as
look.
they're left quite for a while now, and I'm starting to get nervous about that. Maybe something happened for real.
And you
Thought they would be okay.
move to the front gates of the church, push them open. The now hot air outside wafts in. Immediately start to sweat of the hot June afternoon, and you can hear faintly in the distance, just across the market, here and there occasionally, a couple of shouts. Miss O'Nolan, Mrs. Rose, where did you go? Oh, I got some lemonade. And I think that's when we switch back to the other two, Levi and Rose. You sit on the bed, and she just... I've been waiting for you. Are you... She kind of leans forward. You're truly from outside. You're not a test, are you? Oh, no, you can't be. Give me your hands. And she kind of reaches for your hands and kind of pulls them forward, unless you resist.
I would
Levi-
resist.
Yeah. Levi hesitates for a bit, and then he just sort of goes, "Ugh, okay."
Okay. Yeah, she lets go of Charlotte and takes Levi's hand, turns it around, looks at his palm. Ah, yes, I see it. Ah, yes, you've come. I've been waiting for so long. Clearly, somebody needed to come. Isn't it obvious? It's gone all wrong.
No. It's very weird. But can we just tone it down a little bit? I think we should focus. Can you
Focus.
please
Can you
tell
focus?
me? Yeah, okay. But what precisely is going on here? Why is it all so very odd? And do you know anything about children?
Children. How? Her eyes widen up for a second. No. You can't come from the children. The children are not the ones that you're looking for. You must go. Leave as soon as you can. You must leave and call for help. Bring more people. Bring them all here. Call them to help us. She kind of looks occasionally like, twitching almost over to Rose, and she kind of, you feel you're sweating, puts her hand onto your forehead. It's like, you're burning up. I've got a tonic for this.
Please don't touch me.
She turns around and pulls a couple of the vials and like mixes a couple of them together. Here, drink this. It will help you. Yes, they know. I've been curious for a while, but now it's come to the point. No.
What do they know?
They suspect me. But I didn't tell anything. I didn't tell it to no one. No. The gent was here. I tried to tell him. I tried to talk to him. But he no.
Who was here?
Oh yes.
Who?
Yes. But
Who was here?
He couldn't do it. He didn't want to go. He said he needed proof. He wanted to talk to the doctor. He needed to talk to the doctor. He said, but I told him no, not talking to the doctor. It's not good. Not good. And she, he stayed at her. And she quiets down for a moment. He stayed at Margaret. He stayed at with her. But he shouldn't have. She knows as well. They're all in this. You see, they're all a big part. It's a big game.
Are you talking about Bingham?
Bingham. Yes, all of them. No, they're all. You don't see
Whitford? Whitford ring a bell?
You don't see it. You don't see what is happening. They are scouting for you. They want you to feel comfortable, to be here, to become new members. Don't you see this? They're all here for you. All of this is just for you. Everything they made is for you.
Well, this entire place makes my skin crawl, so I don't find it that likely that I'm going to stay. But why do they want us to?
You don't want to stay, but you have no option. You will have to stay. You can't leave after. No, you. There's a knock at the door.
God.
She looks at you wide-eyed. Did you bring someone? Did you tell somebody? You didn't tell somebody anything. No. You can't tell anyone. Just go. Just stay quiet. Don't say anything. She gets up. Give me a group luck roll.
Ooh. Who's got the lowest luck then? I'm 55.
45.
Just two of them.
I think it's the lowest in a group.
Yeah,
isn't it?
the lowest in the group, which is Rose and Levi.
So it's me.
Potentially, yes.
Hey.
Success.
She gets up, but as she gets up, her frock or her what is it called? Dress gets caught in a couple of the lumbers of wood or pieces of wood. And she turns around. A couple of them fall to the side, but she moves to the front door. She's like, yes, I'll be just there, in a very calm, very precise tone. Just give me a second. I was just washing myself. Don't haste me. And she kind of picks up like a bucket or something and just like clings it around for a second, puts it down, looks at you again, and just like moves to the door. And she opens it a bit, and before she opens, she kind of pulls a bit her dress to the side, unbuttons kind of her top row, and it was so warm. I don't need to. Is there anything wrong? Oh no. Sarah, have you seen two guests, a woman and a man? They the woman didn't feel so well. We called the doctor, and we just want her to be looked after. She didn't look so well. No. I've seen no one. I was just washing myself. Sarah, if you see someone, don't open the door. If somebody knocks, don't open the door, okay? Yes, yes. But what if it's what if it's Wilbert? No, Wilbert died. Okay, okay, okay. No, they're not here. Let's go on. And she kind of closes the door, puts her skirt back up, and moves to you. And the same time as that happens, Charlotte, you look over, and where she kind of like pulled, or her dress caught in the wood pile, you see that she pulled a couple of those to the floor. But interestingly enough, it revealed a little patch, a little kind of wooden box hidden amongst the wood pile. And you can see it's kind of been placed strategically so that, there's a lot of wood on top of it and to the side of it, that if you pick a couple of logs off, it's fine. But if you take off all of them, it becomes a bit clearer that there's a box amongst the wood.
How
How
large
big
is
is the box?
it? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Let's say it would fit about 1 or 2 books or something.
Would I be able to... I do have my handbag with me. Would I be able, while she's talking, grab it and put it in my handbag?
You know what? I do want that to be in there. So yes, you are. Quite a large handbag, though. But
Okay.
we're not going to question what is in a woman's handbag, is there? Are we? So you reach
I don't
forward.
know.
Give me a dex roll, though, just to get an idea about how you do that. Okay. She just turns around when you put a couple of piles of the logs back on top, and she looks at you, and there's the kind of this sinister look, almost like, what did you do? And then she shakes her head and approaches you again. And now you must go. You must go back where you came from. Call them all. Bring them all in here. Tell them that's not right. The doctor is not helping. He's treating them all wrong. No. The Barlows are not fine. They're being made fine, but they're not fine.
The Barlows?
Yes. They fell sick.
Who are the Barlows?
They fell sick to the fever just a week ago. Just a week ago. They all fell sick. Well, but it's rumored that there's a new husband to be expected. Yes. He died though. He died. Yeah, Milton died in the farming accident last year. But new husband is about to be there, be ready for them, be with them, be their husband. Yes, the doctor makes sure of that. Yes, he does.
How does he make sure of that?
There's no time. You shouldn't go there. You shouldn't ask. Just go get help. Go get help. You shouldn't be here. She kind of looks around like frantically. You can't tell them that I told you. Don't tell them that I told you. She picks up a couple of leaves and herbs, and she rubs them together and kind of puts them into a little burner and starts to burn them, and kind of waves the flames and the smoke into your face. This will purify you. This will put the evil right away from you. No, they can't touch you. Don't. Just go and leave. Just don't let them get you. Call for help. I told him to, but the doctor talked to him, and he wanted to stay. And nobody wants to stay. They all want to leave. We all want to leave. But that's a sickness. That's the fever. You have to go now. It's quiet. It's quiet.
Take her by the
She
shoulders.
she gets up and she kind of pulls
Thank
you on the
you.
sleeve.
Let's get out of here.
Yes, definitely.
And she kind of brings you to the door, looks through the window, kind of left and right for a while, motions you to be quiet again. Opens the door like an inch, looks outside, pulls her head out. Go. Get help. And she kind of almost like kicks you out. Get help.
Okay.
And the door goes shut. And let's do a group luck roll from Aiden and Jordan.
I assume that'll be me.
I guess so too.
Are you the lucky one?
76.
Yeah. As you can see, I'm definitely the unlucky one here.
Well, still, you made a success in your luck roll. So, Jordan, you maybe follow your nose, your instincts as a PI. Wherever they are screaming for the two of them, they couldn't be, right? Because that's where, obviously, they're not visible. So you go in the direction where they're not. And you just kind of go around a couple of the buildings, and you come almost to the end of the town to the west when you see a door opening, and Rose and Levi kind of being like shoved out, staggering a bit, and getting there, kind of threading back. And they're standing in front of the door. The door shuts behind them loudly, and you just see them a couple of yards ahead of you.
Well, who did you offend?
I don't really know. It was all very odd.
We need to get to your car. We need to get out of here. I mean, this woman was... I'm looking at O'Nolan. This woman was clearly not well, but
She was
I'm
terrified.
honestly thinking she probably was more sane than the others, honestly. We...
Care to enlighten us?
I think there's something very wrong here. We should get the car, and we should tell the police about this. They should just look at it. I mean, yes.
Really sorry to ask, but do you feel alright? You seem
I feel
a bit
better.
disturbed.
Thank you very much.
No.
What
Well-
happened earlier? You just left in the middle of the conversation.
I'm telling you, there's something, I don't know, wrong. Maybe they put some kind of stuff in the food or the drinks. It was seeing things that couldn't possibly be there. So I feel like, I don't know, they're doing something to the people here, and I clearly had a strong reaction to that. So, but I feel fine now.
All right. So we're leaving then. Are we coming back tomorrow, or is the investigation finished now from your end?
I think we've got enough evidence to suggest that something... Well, they're forging the census. which is a government document. That's certainly true.
Not
they're
the evidence of something, right? There can be a million reasons for that.
The plain
Yeah.
fact is that they're forging the census. They're giving us false data. I don't know what the law says about that. And they're implicated in the disappearances of children.
That's the bit where we maybe should be careful with what we call evidence for that.
I know, but it's not ours to, we're not the feds.
Oh.
But they should be investigating it because technically it will be a federal crime, isn't it?
I think all the abductions were within state, so I think it's not. But even then, your evidence is that you think you found the missing children in their census data that you said yourself was probably fake. It's
No, they're manipulating the census data. That's at least all we know. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I'm certainly.
Would I know more about if we have enough evidence and if this is enough to inform the feds?
You can roll for law.
I would like to. Oh,
Damn.
success!
You can.
I know everything.
you rolled the law, and law won.
And the law one. You can also determine somebody to give a D10 of points of luck without asking what their current luck point is.
John Baker.
What a nice. With that critical, you know that every evidence you found so far is circumstantial. What you have is evidence of recorded census data or a census agent submitting official data work that is seemingly legit. You have no evidence of these children being abducted here. So all of the evidence, if you go to a police right now, you have not a proof or shred of evidence. Not given, and on top of that, the fact that none of the other counties and cities knows about this town makes you believe that there must be some sort of higher conspiracy at hand as well. So depending on what town, what government, what person you go to, might be already aware of that situation, which would have serious repercussions for you if you don't have like foolproof evidence. Like you bring one of the missing, you have evidence of something maleficent or bad going on here.
I would relay that information and with. Do you think the women you talked about would be one of the missing, or why did you have this urgent wish to leave?
Well, no, she's not one of the missing from what we can tell. At least I don't think so. But she seems to be utterly terrified of everyone else in this village. Certainly the doctor. She seems to know what's going on in some way.
You think she would be willing to give a substantial statement to the police?
I think she's
don't
been
think
driven
that
mad with fear.
Yeah.
She's not really going to hold up on a witness stand.
Now, I feel I should apologize before saying this, but so you're saying we should like leave this town as soon as we can and rat them out to the cops because you felt bad in the church and then you talk to a mad woman.
No.
But-
They drugged me and they're faking official documents. No one knows about them, so they're clearly hiding something. And I don't care if this town wants to exist. It's not like I came here, did my job. There's something wrong. They're faking our data that we're collecting, and that's what we're gonna report. And then the job is done for me. Then we can report to the police. That's fine. If they don't believe us, sure, why not? That's not my problem. I don't want to stay here any longer.
Have you asked Mr. Dunbar why they're faking the records?
No. Surprisingly, we didn't want to tip off a potential kidnapper of many years, possibly guilty and at risk of maybe a century in a prison, whether or not he was implicit in the kidnapping of children for close to 100 years.
Well, if you think he's implicated in all of this, then there should be some kind of like evidence to be found for this, right? I mean,
Well, I mean,
I tend to see the worst of people, but even I struggle to see like what exactly it is that you want to report here.
And then they can go. It's not our job to get. It's not our job to find evidence. It's not of that kind. It's not what we're here for.
Aren't you like government agents? Isn't that pretty much exactly your job?
no, with the census. We're not federal agents. Well, we're not special agents in the FBI or whatever.
Which doesn't exist yet, but
Oh, does it not? Oh, right. We're not. Yeah, we're not police detectives or anything like that. We're Census Bureau agents employed by the state of Massachusetts, as I understand.
So, you're like tax-funded truth seekers, right?
now Levi and Rose, both of you, I mean, depending on how much you take it credible what that woman said, she notioned that the doctor has or is curing someone, and the Barlow family has the fever that you have, apparently.
Does he have symptoms of a fever? Or
Not.
The fever is probably just that we're not part of this cult. That we see normally. I don't know, that we're not.
Hold is a big word.
Miss Rose, are you sure you've calmed down entirely? You seem still quite on edge and making accusations like being drugged. Maybe you should calm down first and take a breather.
Thank you very much. Don't patronize me, please.
I just wanted to say,
It
like,
just seems so
the guy in
on
the
edge.
suit is like telling her to calm down. Ooh, yeah.
yeah, Levi's. What exactly were you doing in that church? You were in there for quite a while. I mean, you positively reek of booze. So,
We were visited by the Holy Spirit. We had a very friendly conversation with the pastor here. He claimed not to know anything about
great.
the consistency of the size of his flock.
Well, no.
Doesn't.
He seemed quite forthright, so
Forthright. Yeah, that's a word for it. I found him quite unpleasant.
that may be a different topic, but regarding the numbers for Little Creek, he seemed to have no clue about any reasons for this constant number. But he talked about the Spanish flu they had here 2 years ago, and
They didn't have it. They
he
just
seemed
used it as an excuse for the straw dolls to be put up.
sorry, I
Yeah.
misunderstood.
Yeah. So he said the
and
Spanish flu
he-
was the reason why they have the straw dolls.
All right, so as a protection, yes. And he seemed to have met Mr. Bingham and talked to him at least once.
And what did he say about Mr. Bingham?
As far as I would summarize it, I think he mentioned personal problems in his family, and as father thinks that might be a reason for him to not have had a thorough investigation on the census data here.
I have a question, but I'm also starting to jump to conclusions. The lockbox that we saw in the priest's office, was that like roughly the size of a typewriter?
No, it was the same box that he pulled the envelopes up for the
That
election. Yep.
All right. Even better. I guess.
Well, as you're talking this all in front of basically Mrs. X, because you don't even ask for her name, door, you can roll a group block roll.
Oh, no.
I think that's
Probably still
it'll be me.
Baker.
Mm.
no.
Yeah.
Sorry. Hey.
Oh, right.
Hey.
You look to your left, and that's where the town square is, or at least close to-ish. You can see quite, not a commotion, but people kind of starting to now dissipate throughout the town in smaller flocks. You can hear them calling for Miss Rose and Mr. O'Nolan. Concerned. Is everything all right? Are you doing fine?
I think we should head to the car.
I would start like walking towards the car then.
Yeah, which is
So-
actually just to the right of you, just a
Oh.
bit further out of town because you came from the west.
Makes sense.
And you walk up there. You pass a couple of other carts that are still there with hay bales and whatnot. And you approach the spot where your car was. And the only thing you see is the tire marks and a little spot of oil on the ground. And I think that's a perfect time to call for a short break. And please stay with us, and we'll be back with you guys in about 10 minutes. And thank you for watching, and eager to see what happens next. and welcome to Little Creek. Our investigators have found themselves in a precarious situation where they just witnessed their car gone. Nothing left but a couple of tire tracks and an oil smudge on the ground. Jordan, you look at it. You see that the car where you parked it, it couldn't have moved too much because you only see that one track kind of leading to where it's parked, and then maybe a couple of feet forward, and that's it.
Mr. Baker, were you employed as the driver?
I did drive.
So you had one job. One job. And it's gone.
Want some eyes for that?
Well, my job wasn't to guard the parked car, right? It was to drive the car. Car has been driven. Once we got out of the car, my job was over. Needless to discuss this. Apparently someone has stolen our car. Now you can report a crime, Mr. O'Nolan.
Yes, somebody has stolen the car.
While you're discussing,
over as always.
While you're discussing this, you do still hear kind of the commotion from the town square, from the surrounding buildings, like the side streets. They're still looking for O'Nolan and Miss Rose. Very concerned and very heartbroken about their wandering off just in the heat and without any fluids, it sounds like. But for good reason, or for maybe just the spot where you're at, just ducking down into the little alleyway on the other side of the street gives you enough coverage to stay hidden from all the commotion.
You seem to have attracted quite the crowd there. Now that in combination with the missing car, I admit seems a bit dubious.
Yes.
Shall we try to avoid attention for a bit?
Are you really sure the car was stolen? Were there any problems with it beforehand because of this oil patch there?
Oh no, that's perfectly normal. All Fords do that.
Alright.
That's how you know it's full.
It's one of those marketing schemes where you need to refill and rebuy oil every couple of months. You know.
So they're not just over eagerly helping with broken down car or something, just not have the worst expectation here for a second.
They might have just moved it out of the way because they wanted to get their cart through or something, or didn't want it to get dirty if the weather changes. But anyway, they didn't inform us about this, which is not it is nearly the opposite of helpful behavior.
That's definitely right.
We should find something where we can talk, which is not out of the open. How far away is the school? Because that was pretty empty.
The school is about... I mean, it's not so much about how far it is, it's more how exposed you might be, but it's pretty close to you, actually. Just down the street to your right. And you're already on the right, just crossing the street, and maybe you can pry open a window in the back, and you might be able to enter one of the classrooms.
Should we go there?
It would be perfectly normal behavior. But yeah, sounds good. No, might get us away from prying eyes for a bit.
Okay.
So yeah.
You move just a couple of blocks east, trying to hide in the shadows of the sun, wherever it is, and you reached one of the windows that you see. Inside is the classroom where Levi and Rose were inspecting the leather journals, and that's where they still are.
How about here? Might be time for a second look in those books.
It might be a good idea to take them.
Let's get them in our hands and then we discuss that. Jordan would try to open the window.
Just give me a strength roll here, because I feel like that's the most appropriate one. It
Just about.
budges a bit, but it opens up, and you can climb inside, and you're back in the classroom.
Back to school it is. So yeah, closing the door, closing the window, making sure that we have we have a bit of alone time here. All right.
Once we're inside, I would pull out the box that I got from the woman's house and put it on a table.
Mm-hmm.
What's that one? You brought a shoebox?
I'm not so sure. It was kind of I don't know. Maybe it was just dumb. I'm just gonna open it. The woman we talked to, she hid it. I just took it. I don't know why.
Right.
Yeah.
Give me a library use to just see how fast you kind of skim through the text. Okay. You skim through it fairly decent. It is written in Old English, and what you can see is, or what you realize, it's an old journal or biography. It's written in Salem in 1689. And it describes it describes the beginning of the witch trials. But it focuses this time on a fellow called Curtis Merriweather as a sorcerer and a practitioner of magic. You see that he, reading further, was shunned by the locals. And at some point the locals decided to take active measures against his interference with the Christian faith in their society. And he had to flee Salem in July of 1692, when Chief Justice William Stoughton was about to arrest him. Stoughton is one of the kind of known figures in those Salem witch trials that is very keen on any of the source of sorcery. And it describes that Curtis Merriweather disappeared from Salem and fled west after several accusations of sorcery, incantations, and malpractice.
This tells a bit of a different story about the so-called savior. Apparently, he was involved in sorcery, witchcraft.
Right.
Would I know more about the events described from my passion?
Well, give me a roll that you think is adequate.
Adequate. I think it would be a cult then.
Yeah.
If I do, I don't remember.
It just seems like July 1692 was the beginning of the Salem witch trials, and there are various reports, obviously. None of them are coherent, but all of them point to kind of women to be the cause of all the witch trials. There's no mention of a guy in them, so clearly they must be false.
Is there anything? Oh,
sorry. Just
No, you
wanted
could.
to inquire. Does it give more the idea of a personal record? I would ask Miss Rose. Was reading it.
It seems to be a record by either a fellow traveler or something that moved with him, and that's when I basically he reports kind of the events in Salem, that he needed to flee, and that in some time the journal stopped after he fled west.
The woman would be Little Creek west of Salem.
Yeah, it would
so
be
familiar with that.
pretty much.
Is that journal handwritten?
That woman that we talked to, she did she seemed a bit into that kind of. She had a bunch of potions and herbs and stuff, so maybe she or her ancestors were the traveling besides him. I don't know. Just an idea. But
Yeah,
I don't. I mean, this.
Are you saying she believed to be a witch?
Nothing illegal about that anymore.
I don't. I don't want to know. This doesn't really help us. I mean, we cannot bring this to the police. They're just gonna. If we tell them, oh yeah, they think Jesus was buddy with a guy, but the guy was actually involved in witchcraft, they're just gonna lock us up.
Arkham Asylum has always an open spot.
Useless.
I mean, you did just steal this woman's family heirlooms or something.
Well, what's interesting is that she hid it. as though she was worried about other people finding it.
Might be a bit of an inconvenient truth. Like, puts a little bit on a dent on the savior myth, I guess.
The cult, yeah.
The specialized faith branch. All right.
I mean, if we're gonna talk to some people that could maybe help us, she mentioned the Barlows, right? That they might be infected with the same fever we have. So they might be not under this whole spell, so to speak. Maybe
Well,
they
what-
can be witnesses.
Do we have an idea how to find these people?
She said that they are
Oh,
with
yeah.
the doctor. They're treated by the doctor.
Do we feel like going outside again and just asking our way around?
I mean, they're not looking for you. It seems to be...
Why exactly are they looking for you?
I'm not entirely certain.
They mumbled something about that I also have the fever and I should see the doctor, and I would honestly prefer not to. I mean, at least... I mean, maybe we could use that as a...
But maybe a medical professional could clear up why some of us are feeling kind of ill or odd.
I don't think this is a medical professional. I mean, you've seen the police. It's probably the same level as medical professional as they have police professionals here.
Well,
And
you also seem to convince
I
that it's
don't-
not a medical problem. Maybe
And
it is
I
a
don't-
profession in whatever it is that you.
and I certainly don't have the fever, and they're looking for me as well. They're not looking for you two.
Yeah, but nevertheless, the moment it's a festival outside there, right? The moment that any one of us steps out there looking around, they will pretty much have found where the rest of us are, unless you intend to hide yourself in a haystack while Sam and I go around asking questions.
Yeah, if you stand outside the front of the school, you are facing the town square. You will be exposed to everybody.
But I mean, that's pretty much our only way of finding out where this doctor is, right? Pretty much like asking someone. Or did we come across a house with a big red cross on the front?
I mean, if it helps, I mean, I know not to trust this doctor. I could ask for help and then he would come, and then, I could maybe distract him and you will look for the others in the meantime, while he's curing me, so to speak.
Sounds like a sort of plan. Why not? What do we have to lose?
I don't really like that. I mean, she did warn us that people have a tendency of changing their disposition about this town as soon as they talk to the doctor. Do you really want to be left alone with him?
Maybe Miss Rose shouldn't go alone then.
And if that is true, maybe your missing colleagues have actually also talked to him. Maybe that is what convinced him to.
That's what the old lady said.
Seek a change of occupation.
Yeah, that is to be assumed.
And maybe he can answer some questions about them. I don't think doctor-patient privilege has been invented yet, so we might as well ask some questions.
Look, man told me a lot of things, and I've been taught not to believe any of them. So I don't think this doctor's gonna be any different.
That's that's a smart way of going about things. It's generally a good approach in life, I guess. Yeah, shall we go out and ask
face the town?
our doctor for...
So you want to go out the front
Sure.
door? Or?
Before we leave, I would like to check one thing.
Yeah.
A wild idea, I guess, but I copied the handwriting of Mr. Bingham from the guest book in the Historic Inn.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to check if it fits the writing in the census records.
It does not.
Just, I guess that much.
Yep.
Nevertheless, wanted to check. Thanks.
Levi's going to take the books,
Mm-hmm.
the census records, and can't take them with me. So what he's going to do is he's going to jump out the window, hide them at the back, somewhere where no one's going to find them, and then jump back in.
Take these ones with you. The ones about the... I don't want to leave them here in the classroom. But I also don't want to take them with me.
Is there sort of like a gap underneath the school building? Is it sort of on rafters or...
Let's see what the luck says.
Right. Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty built neatly onto the ground. I mean, you do find a spot between a couple of crates and they're like... Kind of looks like it's okay to hide it. Nobody would look into these piles of wood anyway.
Right here, under this car that someone left in a bush for some reason.
You gonna leave the stuff, or you gonna reconsider your choices?
I'm going to reconsider my choices.
Okay.
I think... I'm not being funny, but Levi is actually really... I mean, is quite suspicious now of quite a lot of the people around him. And I think what he's going to do is he's going to take he's going to tear out the suspicious pages in the census and pocket them.
Sounds good, yeah.
And then he's going to jump in.
Yeah.
And he'll say, yeah.
Nothing to hide. So...
Time to sit it.
So you're still in the classroom, and you've jumped in and out of the window several times now. Is that it now? And do you want to rejoice the beautiful festivities out at the town square?
I guess.
I certainly don't. But,
What's the worst can happen?
sausages. All right, then. Yeah, let's say hello to the sun.
Okay. You everybody okay with that? Then you move into a line. Who's at the front door of the classroom? Who's opening the door?
Probably go to the front, since I want to kind of draw the attention to
Okay.
me, so they bring me to the doctor and leave the rest on their own devices.
Okay. Charlotte, who's behind her? Oh, what's the order?
I'll probably be behind.
Okay. Jordan, Levi, Jordan and Aiden.
And I would go next.
I'll close the door behind us.
And so in that group, Rose, you step outside. It's bright, it's hot. You give me an intelligence roll. It feels like with an extreme success, you realize it is feeling like the afternoon sun. It's burning down on you. It's hot. It's scorching. The ground even feels hot as you walk outside. Little relief that you can get from the couple of shades around you immediately kind of almost draws you back into the hallway of the school. But as you step outside, and Levi follows you, and you all feel this kind of heat wave rushing over you. You can see that a couple of townspeople suddenly turn and they look at you. Oh, there she is! Oh my dear! But have you been studying the whole time? I'm so sorry. Doctor, please, come here. We found them. They're here.
We'll separate a little bit. Yes. Yeah. I'm an eager worker. But I still feel a little bit hazy. So maybe it would be a good idea if the doctor just checks up on me. Where is he?
It takes a moment until I'm going to show you guys first. Until the crowd parts ways, and this elderly gentleman approaches you, and he says, "Oh well, he makes his way through the crowd, and he is like coming closer to you. He's like, oh dear. Oh, I heard you had some bit of trouble in the sun. Didn't drink enough fluids, and or didn't eat enough as well."
I mean, I thought I did, but I don't know. I mean, I'm just looking up to the sun. It's just coming down too big, and this jacket, ugh.
Yes. I do
kind of what I'm required to work.
He approaches you, and he stops and like raises his hand. Is it okay if I examine you briefly? Just a quick check to see if you're fine.
Sure.
And he kind of...
She rolls her eyes a little bit.
He lays his hands on your forehead and checks your lymph nodes and... yes, as I feared. Just a minor heat stroke. Nothing serious. Certainly shouldn't be around in the sun. Well, I do have a couple of tonics that can invigorate you and give you some of the electrolytes back. I think it's best if you just come with me. Do you want anybody to come with you or you? And he kind of just looks in the group of the other three.
Okay. I think I'm fine on my own.
I'll I'll come with.
Of course, of course.
You don't have to.
I'm not in. I'm just looking at.
Just give. If you want to, of course. Okay, sure.
Well, of course. I mean, I don't want you exposed. I know how it is. Coming to a strange place, meeting a physician that you don't trust. Totally understandable. No, my dear child, you don't have to worry. I'll make sure that you'll be up and running around in no time. No, please, do come.
Thank you.
He politely offers his hand, kind of to guide you. Reaches out, and immediately, like, there's a glass of water kind of put into his hand, and he kind of gives it over to you. You should drink that, my child. Just hydration at the current time is the most important thing you should do.
Sure. Before I take a sip, can I just have a... I'm just gonna smell the water. Just to check if I smell anything off of it.
It smells like water.
Okay. I'm gonna take a sip. Drink it.
Tastes like water, and it feels like water.
Great.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
You must be the two agents the whole town has been talking about. While the three of you are basically escorted by a couple of other people around you towards the south of town, passing the main square and completely ignoring Jordan and Aiden. And Dr. Wentworth, who introduces himself to you after a while. So, well, I hope you don't mind, but you surely should know better to have a bit more hydration throughout the day, and especially in this heat and everything. It seems almost a rudimentary error of such highly educated folk like you. Smiles and chuckles a bit.
Like I said, I thought I had enough to drink, and I eat plenty during your feast, but I probably underestimated this heat.
Oh, yes. You see,
Human mistake.
that's totally fine. And you, sir, are you feeling all right?
I'm feeling perfectly fine.
No. Do you mind if I briefly check your temperature?
No, not at all.
No. He reaches out his hand, and checks your temperature. Oh, yes. Nothing to worry about. Well done. See, you're quite a fit young man. Chuckles a bit. Back in my days.
I'm no longer young.
Nah. That's what I'm saying now.
So, I understand that you're quite familiar with census agents.
With census agents per se, I'm not. No, I've taken care of my flock and my people, the ones that live here and work with us, and I can't really say that I worked for census agents per se.
Oh, I just meant familiar, sort of thing.
Well, familiar. He kind of looks over into no man's land. Thinks back. Oh yeah, there was this fellow. A couple of months ago. Bad to say it too. He was a bit cooled down compared to us in January. A bit freezing. I didn't take enough clothes on him. Well, I suggested a good treatment of hot steam and warm fireplace, and he recovered within a day. Everything was fine, and he said he had some urgent business to conduct, and Fartham, Hingham, Bingham, was it?
Bingham.
Yes. Wonderful fella.
Oh, right. I don't suppose you had... You may have met a previous census agent, a friend of mine, a Mr. Whitmer.
Previously? No.
Whitford, sorry.
Whitford? No. I'm sorry about this. I don't think I have. When would he have been here?
Around about 10 years ago.
10 years ago, my dear friend. I don't think I can... He kind of leans to you. I don't think I can really recall my breakfast this morning, if I'm honest. Whitford. Oh, no. Nothing rings my bell. I do apologize. A friend of yours?
Nothing at all. Yes, he was.
Well, I have to say, I don't know.
Ah. Well, that's rather strange. It's a shame as well. I haven't seen him for 10 years myself.
Oh dear. One of those, was he in the war? And he,
No.
Oh, he wasn't. Well, I'm sure it'll clear up by time. And by then, you've passed kind of the spit roast on the left. You crossed a stone bridge where a little creek flows underneath. And you walked a bit further south, coming to this beautiful kind of garden entry. Everything is meticulously set, flowers arranged to the inch, trees, little bushes, everything is meticulously placed. And you can see just a small road leading up the to a driveway front area of the beautiful mansion up there. 2 stories, white and pristine condition. Probably one of the nicest houses you've seen in the whole town. The nicest house.
Is that where you live?
Oh yes.
Or is this your practice?
Well, it is
workplace?
both. It is both. I do like to keep a couple of horses, pointing to a little kind of stall to the left, and plant my own herbs and medicine, pointing to a garden kind of just that you can see behind the house, the edge of it. And I'll try to do my best. I mean, after all, I am responsible for the town's health, and therefore I try to do my best as God intended me to be. So, now, shall we go inside? I think I'll know what tincture you need, and I think I have just the right tonic to get your mindset straight.
Sure, of course.
And
That would be wonderful.
he steps up to that little archway to the front door, opens it up, and as the 3, 4, 5 people, probably a couple of people around you, enter Dr. Wentworth's estate, we're going to zoom back the camera to the town square where at the school Levi and Rose have kind of parted ways from Jordan and Aiden. What are the two of you doing in the meantime?
Watching the two of them go with the doctor. After a moment, Aiden would start talking to Mr. Baker. Mr. Baker, is it just me, or were both of these agents quite odd after they disappeared for a while? They seemed so
High strung.
yeah, talking about witchcraft, sorcerer, and everything while just disappearing for
Beginning to steal books left and right.
yes. Should we be worried? Should we do something?
No.
I'm not quite familiar with these kinds of situations, to be honest.
Well, I'm being paid not to judge, I guess, but I'm glad that I'm not the only one seeing this.
I mean, they were
Maybe it's not the worst idea to get them some, professional help. Maybe
Yes, I
actually
hope
talking
so.
to a doctor is not it might not be the worst course of action for them.
yes.
And the doctor seemed like nice and competent, so
Mhm.
they're probably in good hands.
I hope they get well soon. It's really disturbing to see former census agents who were taking their work really seriously to just abandon it in the instance of second, kind of.
Well, the town seems to have that effect on government officials, so
True.
I
Yes.
guess the two of us don't have to worry too much.
So you had no effect while we were staying in or near this town? I mean, I had a bit of it, I guess, but I'm not sure what leads to this, but certainly not food or any drugs, because I haven't eaten here. Just the alcohol we had with the father. But I had my panic attack beforehand, as you would know. And
I know.
so jumping to conclusions here was really awkward for Miss Rose. She wasn't like this when we started the journey. I'm kind of worried now.
Well, yeah. No offense, but I also had the impression that of the three of you, she was the most well adapted until we reached. Maybe it would be a good idea to find out what happened to the car, just in case we need to get them to a hospital or something.
So we will inquire on the car first and then search for this family they mentioned, or have
Shall
you
we
other
have,
plans?
Shall we maybe have a look if we can find Mr. Dunbar? Maybe he has an idea what might have happened.
Yeah, he should be around the town square,
He seems to be
I guess.
well enough connected.
Luckily enough, he might be just out of earshot, but yeah, visibly enough that you can approach him.
Then let's start with that.
Nope, why not?
You approach Mr. Dunbar, who's kind of still organizing a couple of the villages. She turns around. Mr. Baker and Mr. Sir Hamilton. I'm sorry, but if I didn't catch the title correctly, but what can I do for you?
We were wondering if you have seen the car we arrived in. It's missing from its recent parking spot. Have you moved it by any chance?
He tilts his head. I'm sorry. Your car? You arrived here on foot.
Certainly not.
Certainly not.
No, of course. He just looks around and is like, oh yeah, no, you walked in this morning. And like more people turn around and like, oh yes, of course. We saw you walk in. You were cheerful and
we parked right over there. There were a bunch of kids just marveling at the car. Like Joe looks around if he sees any of the kids from this morning.
Give me a luck roll.
Luck's still not running out.
Extreme success. Yeah, you do find a couple of people. A couple of the young children around.
You're there.
Yeah. What? Oh, sir. Yeah. What is it?
You were like playing with a car in the morning, right? You were touching you were wondering why the tires were all white and stuff, right?
He looks at you confused, like, what do you mean, sir?
The tires, the wheel things on the car we talked about this.
What?
You asked me why they're white, right?
What car, sir?
This is not a trick question.
What car, sir?
Careful, boy. I'm not in the mood for this kind of joke.
It's no joke, sir. I'm just inquiring about. What do you want to know? I haven't seen a car. I've heard about them, yeah, but I haven't seen one.
Right.
Aiden would address Dunbar again. Mr. Dunbar.
Yes.
You're not telling us you would believe that we come from Boston on foot to this town. So please, where is our car? I make persuade out of that?
Sure. In the meantime, he will tell you that. Oh no, you arrived by car, but you told me that you would be staying at the historic inn and you would like to take a hike in the morning to come and visit us.
But we also have no hiking gear or anything with us. Why would we...
Hiking gear? You would need gear for walking? That seems a bit preposterous, don't you think, my young chap?
No rations, nothing. We had nothing on us when we came here. So that's also not plausible, what you're saying.
That's why we offered you food and drink. I told you so the night before, didn't I?
Mr. Dunbar, the last time I took a hike, it was through the German countryside and people were shooting at me. I have I don't have any reason to ever repeat that anytime soon. I most certainly did not wander through the wilderness to try to find your godforsaken little village here.
I'm sorry, I have no idea what you're talking about. I can only attest you to what I know, and it's clear that you walked into this town this early this morning.
Do I get the feeling that he believes what he says?
Did you roll?
What do I roll?
Persuasion. Not persuasion.
This would be psychology, right?
Psychology. Thank you. Yeah, you 100% believe what he's saying. He's looking at you. It's like, my dear child, yes, I do understand that exercise might, for your state or your position, be something new, and I'm very sorry about this. No, you've arrived here early this morning, and you were quite thirsty and hungry.
And Aiden
Fine.
will.
Sorry.
Aiden will have a silent sigh and would say, if you see looking a bit helplessly to Ron Baker here, a car, a Ford. Then please tell us, as we're looking for our car. Then
He kind of looks actually around the congregation, I would say, and he's yes. If we see a Ford something around our town,
Mr. Baker can inquire
and,
on what.
I'll certainly make sure that we know of this, right, children? And they like laugh and cheer.
Are you a policeman somewhere around? The ones with the car? The ones who guided us yesterday?
Oh yes, of course. Deputy Thompson, are you Deputy Sheriff Thompson? Deputy Miller, are you around? And it takes a second, and it feels almost like out of the shadows. You have this elderly guy approaching. Same guy at the night that you visited. I didn't upload it to Roll20. So yeah, imagine this elderly guy, similar to Mr. Dunbar, scruffy beard, and he kind of looks at you and says, you chap. The one with the well, how can I help you?
Well, two things here. One, we'd like to report a missing car. Two, I think we would require your assistance. Maybe you could maybe you or your colleague here could give us a ride back to the hotel, where Mrs. Booth will probably be happy to tell you that indeed we came with a car this morning.
You see, it's the town festival. My car is parked in the garage. I pulled it up, all the cars in front. It's gonna take a while until I get my car free. Sure, I can do it, if that's what you like. Miller, you come over here. Get the car ready and make sure that these two young gentlemen, he smiles at you, are getting to the hotel back. Mrs. The Historic Inn, right? Sure, sir.
Which other one would it be?
He kind of looks at you for a second, and you now regret walking here. Just give us half an hour to get the card, and we'll get you back.
John would in a bit of a half storm off as fine, half an hour. And pull Aiden with him, unless Aiden wants to
Wouldn't resist
Oh.
coming with you.
Where do you go?
And somewhere in one of the side streets of the
Somewhere private.
village where we can
Okay.
well, as private as you can without breaking and entering anywhere.
Yeah, sure. Let's
So,
say
yeah,
let's say
just
you
around the
go.
corner somewhere.
And you pull Aiden around the corner, kind of probably at the sleeve, like, get the fuck in here. And that's when we cut
Something like
back.
that.
That's when we cut back to Rose and Levi. You yeah, you just approach this beautiful Victorian style building, and Dr. Wentworth kind of moves up to the front entrance, opens the door. You come to this entrance hall, and you can see these exquisite rugs covering the floor. The interior decoration looks expensive and unique. You see that the assortment of items and kind of knickknacks and googacks that are kind of placed all around seems a bit odd and seems a bit just like a bit out of touch, you would say. There's a small wardrobe to the left, and there's another door that leads up to what you would say the reception hall, where you can already see a grand staircase leading up to the second floor, and multiple kind of corridors leading to left and right. And Dr. Wentworth kind of steps right through it and turns left and says, "Please follow me." And basically that's giving you a moment by yourself.
Levi's been trying to clock everything as soon as he's in there, and he's keeping an ear out to hear if he can hear anyone else. But I turn around to Charlotte and say, the moment that you feel uncomfortable about this, I think we should jump out a window.
Okay. I kind of feel like they're trying to uphold whatever they're trying to do, so maybe we can just excuse ourselves and not jump out of a window.
Okay.
Because that will definitely escalate.
But I mean, jumping out of the window, that's such a Michael Bay thing. Only if everything afterwards goes in flames, but I mean, I'll leave it up to you.
No, it's more along the lines of
we can arrange that.
Doesn't know scales. Sort of.
So Dr. Wentworth is calling out for you. I was like, Mrs. What was it? Miss Rose? Please, do come inside.
Thank you.
And you pass the entrance hall. Both of you. And you come to the reception hall. Staircase, white railing leads up to the top floor. You can see several chairs kind of leaning on either side of the walls. Can both of you give me a spot hidden check? Ooh. Levi, with an extreme, and Charlotte with a hard success, you step inside the reception hall. You see to your left the door open to what looks to be a waiting room. And you can see the staircase kind of bending up to the right in front of you. And Levi, it just takes you a second when you realize there are a couple of scratches on the floor right in front of you. In the beautiful kind of like pristine conditioned floor, just subtle clues, subtle scratches in the hardwood floor. And looking at them, it looks like there's something angling and opening just in the center of the wall that you're facing underneath the staircase. Maybe like a secret door, hidden door that has been opened and closed numerous times. But yeah, subtle scratches that you kind of make out. Miss Rose, you're stepping inside the waiting room, I think. And just as you do, Give me a listen roll with advantage.
Success.
You get a success, and you step inside the waiting room, and you're just about to leave the entrance hall or reception hall when you can swear you can hear this faint kind of like gramophone music playing or something, and suddenly there's somebody pulls the gramophone needle off the record, like the scratching noise. It goes quiet. And you step inside the waiting room, and it's kind of dimly lit. There are a couple of gas lamps on the walls that kind of illuminate the room a bit more clearer. It's only now when you realize it's actually getting quite darkish outside. Late outside. A couple of leather chairs and couches. And you see that, there's a couple of file cabinets to the north wall where another desk has been pulled up, where you presume there's a secretary typing away the file folders, and there's a typewriter on top of it. You see anatomical diagrams and all the paintings of what you would say like other physicians plastering the walls. And there's a small corner actually in the room as well that is concerned with children toys, mechanical wooden children toys, simplistic but yet effective. And from a office further in the back, you can hear Mr. Wentworth kind of calling, "Miss Rose, I think it would be best if you come right here. I'm just mixing up the tonic. I
walk to where he is. Pass by the typewriter and just have a look at it. And I think we pointed out that it was instead of capital I's, small ones. And can I just check if this could be the typewriter that the
you would need to do
the assignment letters?
You would actually need to type on it in order to get the typeface.
Oh. Is there paper in it right now?
No, not right now.
Okay. Then I will leave that and just make a note of it and go to the doctor.
Okay. Levi, where are you in the hall? Scene unfolding.
As soon as I saw this secret door, I just stopped. And as Rose goes in, I'm just making... can they see me from here?
No, it's literally a couple of doors down, and you see a couple of the people that came in with you kind of disappearing within the house. But you're in the entrance hall. You might even do I'm taking off my coat or, wiping my feet. And shortly after, you're by yourself. It's an entrance hall after all. You see a staircase up ahead of you, and everybody else disappeared. To your left, that's where Rose went with Dr. Wentworth. And,
I'm going to see whether or not I can open this secret door. Just to... I might not go into it, but just see what I need to open it, sort of thing.
Okay. You move forward to it. Give me a spot hidden check here. Okay. Success. With that, you take a second and you look a bit clearer, and you can see that there is clearly a small gap between kind of the woodwork of the staircase and kind of a couple of the frames of the wall paneling. And you look around, and the only thing that kind of, it seems so clue, but the only thing that kind of points out to you is a candlestick that's on the wall.
Oh. I pull the candlestick, or push the candlestick.
You push, you try to figure out the way, and the moment you kind of pull it down, you hear this little kind of sound, and a latch opens, and there's just a little twitch of the wall opening up, and you can see that, a doorway opened up.
I'll go in.
Okay.
Sneak a peek.
You step inside. The one thing you can see-ish is there is a short kind of turn, and then just leads downward. It's pretty dark. You can see there's like torches on the side, or gas lamps on the side of the wall, but there's also a dimly flickering light coming from below. You can see the inside of the door has a handle, so you can pull it shut if you want to.
Is there a locking mechanism? Is it
from what?
From the inside?
Give me an intelligence roll here.
Oh no.
Do you want to spend luck, or do you want to push it?
Yeah, I'm going to spend luck.
Yeah, that was a 96.
Oh no, actually, I'm 90, so yeah, I'll push it actually.
How do you push it? What's the possible...
Basically, it's that I roll a bonus die, and if I don't pass it, it's a fumble.
No. What is the action that you do?
Oh, right. Yeah, sorry. I think what I'll do is that I'll take out my lighter and I'll inspect the interior handle. So
Okay.
I'm getting some light on it, and that's
Okay.
it.
You can actually re-roll the die for that. It's not
Oh,
only a
right.
bonus. And I think for the benefit of the listener and the viewers, which don't see the roll but see the emotions of the players, we're going to switch back to the small alleyway where Jordan just has pulled Aiden by his bow tie, cravat, into the side street with a quite hasty tone.
Right, something's going up. Like, something's going on here, right?
Yes.
Good. Let's have these, like, fellas give us a ride back to the hotel. Like, the people there seem friendly enough, right? They don't want to have anything to do with this. So they witnessed the fact that, there's fuckery afoot here. So, and even in the worst case, they have a telephone or something we can use, right? To call some real police. If Mr. Dumber is really that unhelpful, shall we? Who can we ask? Like, who here might know anything about this? Who's gonna talk to us and tell us what's going on?
To be honest, by now I would guess nobody. At least if you ask for honesty. Maybe the father, he seemed to just don't know what's going on. But I'm not really trustworthy for Mr. Dunbar, and I can't say anything about this doctor. If we wanna leave now, do we get the others first, or
Probably.
are
I mean, if
you
it takes
now
some-
at the point where you just
I
I'm
would hope
like
that,
measuring you with my staring at you, measuring your reaction and trailing off the sentence. Like,
Yeah, Jordan is kind of is also kind of talking over you, kind of just scanning the horizon, seeming to working through all of this. It's he's in very impotent action mode right now. It's we have to do something, right?
I mean,
So-
there seems to be a car in town. The others were in a state where they were stealing books. Are we thinking about bigger
actually-
goals here?
If they're actually just gonna drive us out, that'll be fine, right?
Or
Let
are
them
you
take their-
confident we would find our way through the woods without... I mean, we kind of know the way. You know, at least drove us
I mean,
here.
it's basically a road, right? If I remember correctly, it was just the entrance was just slightly hidden, but there was a cart dirt road kind of, right?
Sure, if you
Oh,
say so.
Okay. Great. I honestly don't know, but yeah, we're not gonna leave the others just here in the hands of this of these gaslight enthusiasts. The Dumber seemed awfully charming with the doctor and his cop friends. I don't trust any of them as far as I can bury them. Maybe I don't trust the mad woman, whoever whatever she said. Maybe the priest is actually our best hope to shed any light on what these people why these people want us to stay here. At least he seemed talkative.
Yes. Before we inquire help from him, I would like to get these books. If we have to go in a hurry, we would have them on us. Otherwise, we would have to come back, and they seemed, at least for the agents, of importance.
Once that our four-eyed friend has hidden in the bushes.
It was somewhere we
Now,
roughly know where, so
I
would
do want to
want-
clarify. I think Levi took out the pages relevant and brought the books back, but he didn't hide the books. Is that correct? I mean, if you did either,
Yeah,
that's fine. I as far as I understood it, though,
Yeah, no,
it's
I've got the.
you realize there's nothing to hide it. You took out the pages, you put them onto you back into the classroom,
Oh,
and you
yeah.
just left the books.
And I didn't tell anybody.
Yeah.
Where,
Yeah.
Yeah, that I'd done that. Yeah.
Yep.
I thought you never came back with the books in.
No.
the
So he
classroom.
came back with the books into the classroom and he left them there.
Well,
I misunderstood. Okay.
Yeah.
Then
well, it
Doesn't
doesn't
make
change.
a
Doesn't change the fact that it might make sense to like that'll make it even easier for us to like steal these books.
Exactly. You can steal them quite easily.
And to discover to our surprise that relevant pages are missing.
Yeah.
What are they
That was a
doing?
genius plan, wasn't it? Sort of thing.
and the book about this journal was also left there, or
That's a good question. I think it was in the bundle. Levi, would you kind of try to give it to somebody else? I'm just going to say it's within the bunch of the books that he left there. If not,
I
you...
completely forgot.
If he would have brought the books back, I would took the journals in my handbag.
Okay.
Because I don't
Alright.
want to let them be in the... Because that would be very weird if
Yep.
they would be amongst the
The journals.
numbers.
Yeah, the ledgers. Yep.
Yeah.
So the books are
Alright.
currently in her handbag, which is in the office of Dr. Wentworth.
then Aiden wouldn't have an intention to get back for the books, so
Okay.
erase that part.
Yeah, Jordan doesn't care about the books, so. Yep. Right.
Then let's
Yeah.
find the father.
While they like let them park their car out, I guess if your colleagues come back at some point, someone will tell them like what our plan was.
Okay. So you...
We'll meet them back here.
So you walk to the church and try to meet the father. Can I get a... I want a perception. It's not spot hidden. It's not intelligence. It's kind of a mix in between. Give me an appearance roll. Okay.
This went roughly as expected.
I think it actually works the way intended. Jordan, you clearly, well, not clearly, but you certainly stick out a bit more than Aiden, who seemingly just dissipates into the crowd amongst the people, celebration. You're at the town square, there's festivities, there's, people cheering, celebrating, singing. Everything around you is full celebration mode. Even if you take the shortcut, you will end up shortly before the church with people on the streets dancing, celebrating, and whatnot. Now, for Aiden, maybe it's your social upbringing, but you sneak your way through it. You manage to kind of just like make the right impression to not rise too much, to make too much noise in a social standing. Whereas Jordan, how do you fail your appearance in the social crowd?
Well, I think the verb is barreling. Like he's like ice breaking his way through this crowd, but also like but also like conscious enough to not want to like actually push anyone out of the way. So you might very easily like bump into people and be like stopped and have to like awkwardly sidestep and.
As you do that, can you roll a spot hidden with disadvantage, please?
Probably. No.
Okay. Yeah, you push, you shove your way through it. People are kind of conscious about you. You see a couple of the women approaching you. You refuse in a sense because you have an agenda, although it's a difficult refusal. Maybe you
Not
grab
how.
you grab a couple of the appetizers. I mean, they're just so small. You can just munch them on the way, and you do so. And Aiden, you're already at the halfway up the church. Give me an intelligence roll here again. Okay, you move up to the church, and you find church door is unlocked, and you slip inside. It takes a couple of moments until Jordan kind of catches up to you. Looking back over your shoulder, you see him kind of maybe struggling with a couple of the maybe butchers, you would guess, who are holding up sausages and roasted pork from the grill. He's struggling, but he's still making his way through the crowd. And you step inside the church. It's quiet. There's no sound. And you feel this absolute quietness. Like the absence of sound within the church. From what you've heard outside to get inside, it's just a strange feeling. Because there's nothing in here.
I think I would see it as a welcoming feeling after all the fuss outside and flirting women everywhere and way too much excitement and chaos. It would be like calm silence, like an isle of peace in all this chaos. Short rest
A pure
for a
peace.
moment.
And so you step inside and you walk towards
Yes.
the study.
I would wait for Mr. Baker to catch up.
So you step inside or you leave the...
I would have a step inside, but wait behind the door so he can manage to catch up and have this moment of silence for me while I wait.
Good. Roll a power roll for me then. In the meantime, we go back to the doctor's office. Miss Rose. No. Finally. Why did you take it so long? You're feeling lightheaded? You're feeling slightly unconscious? Is there...
Probably.
Oh, yes. I see. Well, we do
I
get...
don't want to rush it.
Well, you see, we do get that a lot during the summer, especially. People forget to drink, people forget to eat, and the heat, and the sun kind of do the rest, don't they? Well, please take a seat. If you would allow, I'd like to take your blood pressure and take a quick exam.
Oh.
And he does so. He seems very professional, very methodical, very logical in his procedure. And he kind of goes back to his seat behind it and putting away kind of wiping his hands on a wet cloth, throwing it to the basket. Yes, as I suspected. Dehydrated, and you clearly haven't eaten enough, my young chap. My young dear. Sorry, so many different connotations here. My dear, I think it's easily solved. And he kind of pulls out this little glass vial and places it on the table in front of him. It's a mix between vitamin C and a couple of herbal ingredients that will just invigorate you a bit. And other than that, you should take lots of fluids and make sure that you are not dehydrating in this heat. And he kind of looks at you.
Yeah, sure. If you say so. And I'm kind of grasping for the jar. In my clumsiness, I pull it over. Oh.
Oh dear.
I'm so sorry. I think I'm a little bit shaky.
That's...
I'm so sorry.
It's not a trouble. No trouble at all. Let me just concoct another one. And he goes over to a shelf, and he opens it up, pulls out a couple of flasks. I can see different kind of vials that he kind of starts to mix together. He's showing the back to you.
How many doors are in this room?
There's one behind you.
Only one? Okay. Do I see a key in the door?
No, you don't.
No. Okay. Well. Whatever. I'm taking my my handbag, and I'm gonna go up to him, and I'm gonna try to smash it over his head.
Beautiful. Give me a close combat roll. Or brawl roll.
I do have fighting handbag.
You do indeed, yes, I remember. So go for fighting handbag. Oof. Do you want to push it? Do you want to spend luck?
I would try to push it.
So the first swing might have missed, but the second one, what do you do differently?
Yeah. I do have like the heavy books in there, so I'm kind of adjusting them in the back so they kind of take the momentum a little bit better. So I will use like the weight of the books and kind of lean into them to hopefully get a better swing at his head.
Let's do that.
Nope.
And that's
and you cannot spend luck on push rolls, right?
No.
Yeah.
You can't. And as that swing kind of ebbs out, Dr. Wentworth slowly turns his head towards you.
Very shaky hands. Very shaky hands.
Well, we do go one last time back to Aiden and Jordan.
Make my way to the church. Sorry, not now. Thanks for that one. I really have to go. Where is that boy?
You look up at the church. Give me a power roll, actually. You see at the front door Aiden, seemingly very calm, very relaxed, maybe just gazing out into no man's land.
But he finds peace.
Yeah, you walk up, you run up towards him. Give me one more spot hidden or intelligence roll, whatever you think is better.
That'll be spot hidden. When in doubt, spot hidden. Yep.
You're about 3/4 towards him when your pacing just stops. You slow down, and you walk towards Aiden. And you think for a second, wait a second. We've been around here, we've looked around here, I've walked around, partially around the church. So far I've seen no cemetery, no graveyard, no nothing. Usually they're around the church, or at least close to, but around here there's only fields and whatever. There's nothing around here but rose bushes. And you see Aiden kind of standing there at the front door, just gazing out in solitude. What do you do?
Slow down a bit and then just stand basically behind Aiden in the entrance of the church, kind of like just casting my shadow into the hall there, and would also take that moment, trying to kind of like look over Aiden's shoulder, kind of like trying to see what he sees, whatever it is that he seems so captivated by. And when this all leaves me like thoroughly untouched, at some point like I would slowly put a hand on Aiden's shoulder. So, Hamilton,
Mr. Baker? Did
All
you
right.
manage to get through the crowd?
There's a charming bunch here.
Yes. I
It's all
found it
very
rather
inviting.
peaceful after all this chaotic fuss outside with all these festivities, and yeah, the silence was quite welcoming after that. I'm against my social standards, not always welcoming chaotic masses of people.
Yeah, I can kind of understand. There's a certain tranquility in all of this. And actually, like when John talks to you, he almost like instinctively or like lowers his voice to almost like a whisper, just to not disturb the peace of the place. Let's. Shall we see if the father is still in?
Yes, of course. I hope you can help us. But I'm not sure how.
John would like go back to the father's office, but kind of like more sneaking is the wrong word or is an overstatement, but like trying to stay a bit quiet here. Not so much out of like out of meditative awe, but more like, well, kind of if the father is not here, or if he hasn't like noticed us so far, maybe we like get a glimpse of something. So
Yeah, how about a listen roll to see if you recognize any
Both of us?
voice? Yeah, both of you. Feel free. Jordan, it is awfully quiet in here, indeed.
you hear that? Sounds a bit like maybe no one's in. Shall we have a quick peek around? Like John actually doesn't really wait for your answer, but kind of like just approaches the little back office door and kind of like
Aiden sees this is what you're confident in, so he will just quietly follow your lead.
Okay, you open the door to the sunny.
slowly leaning against it to open it. Yep.
It's empty.
So there's okay. Well, we look back and forth. Shall we, like, waving you in, and then
go.
closing the office door behind us again? Jordan points to the ledgers. That looks like the kind of like records that might tell us something about the history of the community, right?
Yes. Also, I don't know. Do we want to look if there's anything worthwhile in this box?
Probably all the names of the townspeople, right? They had a lock, right? Or
Padlock on it, yep.
Yep. Maybe you can have a look in the ledgers there first.
Yes, I would like to look at that and.
You do? Okay. You pull them out.
Yeah.
Jordan.
Meanwhile, Jordan would like to start touching the sides of the painting to see if it's like, is there like a mechanism here? Knock, knock, knock.
You knock, knock, knock. You push, prod, and pull, and suddenly you hear a cluck, and it opens up to reveal a safe behind it. Combination lock.
Is it a 3-number?
No. It goes to high numbers. And as you have that painting fling open, that's when we switch back to Levi. Levi, you turn on your lighter. You look for the mechanism. You eagerly try to figure out what it is that is locking this door, when you suddenly kind of just drop it. It falls to the floor, you're turning around, you step on something, and suddenly you hear the door kind of fling shut behind you. It's quiet. You still hear and see you see the flickering light from below. Your lighter now tumbles down the staircase, the winding staircase. What you believe is like quite numerous floors that it's tumbling down.
I pause for a moment, and I'm there just going like, how did I do that? Can I open the door, or is it just locked?
You look at the door and you don't find any hinge, you don't find any mechanism. You're panicking. And as you do so, give me a power roll here, though. As you look at the door, you start to, maybe involuntarily push, shove. You realize there's no mechanism that you can quickly see that opens that door again. That's when you hear downstairs, down that staircase, a wailing sound of somebody. Oh, yes, I love them all, I love them. And that's where we're going to end tonight's session. Thank you very much for playing, and thank you very much for listening and viewing and being with us. I hope you had fun and you enjoyed tonight's session. See you next time on the 8th of May. Have a wonderful evening and see you soon.